Leading with faith. If don't go away, stay and listen, stay and listen. Today's high performers are spiritually exhausted, and many leaders are privately questioning, what is it all for? In that emptiness translates to everything we do and all the people we support. So we invite you to join us in our brand new series within More Than Success by Powerful Women Today. Sorry, by PWT Global and Powerful Women Today. We have today our PWT mentor expert and someone whose faith leadership I trust, and leadership in general, Mindy McManus, and of course, your host, Carolina Billings. Welcome, Mindy.
Thank you. This is exciting. It's our first of many.
I know, and it's not our first conversation on the topic.
No, no.
This is a recurring theme. And Mindy and I have been collaborating for goodness over 5 years now, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And we both have gone through such a transformation and such a transition. And the role of faith is, it has been the gorilla in the room to some degree.
Yeah.
Oh, for me,
Mm-hmm.
for you, I have completely admired your conviction, your trust, the how you've navigated the expansion to really bring about faith in your leadership, because you're
Yeah.
a sought after speaker, an instructor, a trainer, a coach. And you have mastered that integration skillfully. And I want to hear all about it. And yeah, let's get started.
That's awesome. So, what would you like to know first?
Well, do you sense that emptiness and exhaustion in leadership?
You know what? I do. And, we were talking about this before. People are exhausted because a lot of the times we leave our faith at home. We leave our faith at
Mm.
home and we don't bring it into work. And so no wonder why we're exhausted. No wonder why we're feeling spiritually drained every day, because we were never taught, we were never told that you can pray to God every day and bring him into your work life and
Yeah.
make that be a part of the conversations. It's really amazing when you go to God before you make a difficult decision. Think about, we do that in our life outside of work, but we don't do that in work. And so we're missing a big piece of what helps us outside of work that we could be leveraging inside of work. And all this stuff can be internal where nobody else needs to see it. We would
Mhm.
like for you to, live out loud for God and share what you share. But if you need to just do it inside, because that's what's going to help you as a leader to lead better, to
Mhm.
know that God puts his arms around you and guides you with his just daily motivation and daily guidance and daily grace that God
Yeah.
gives us every day.
And we are advancing. I remember during my corporate days, I happened to have the finance and HR portfolios, which are considered pink portfolios. And I remember being many times the only woman in the C-suite or in the leadership team.
Mm-hmm.
And I would bring things like, like not quite spirituality, but more consciousness
Mm-hmm.
to our intentions, more humanity. And I remember feeling very self-aware and self-censored, not to bring in like the kindness and spirituality and like love, right? And compassion and the all those human values. Because I would get chewed up in the room, and because I would be seen,
Yeah.
as not one of the boys, or not tough enough to be in the room,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now that has changed. By the time
Mm-hmm.
I exited the C-suite in corporate, it was more open, right?
Mm-hmm.
Empathy was more a word that that mattered, and probably lawsuits had a lot to do with that, right? Diversity inclusion was a little bit more open and all of that.
Mhm.
Um, are you seeing, because you work with pretty big corporations, you're a Mayo Clinic alumni,
Mhm.
and you work with major universities and Fortune 500 kind of organizations.
Mhm.
Are you seeing a greater openness to
Yes.
to
Yes.
speak of that? Yeah, tell us about it.
It's interesting. One of the things that I do, and I learned the 10 pillars of life through Powerful Women Today, and I use that as I work with my clients at the beginning and really kind of see where they are and have them score it from 1 to 10. And I always ask the spiritual question because I want to bring the Bible in to my coaching whenever somebody wants me to bring it in to the
Mhm.
coaching. And so I usually like to ask that question. I've never had anybody say that they weren't spiritual and that they didn't want me to use the Bible in the coaching. Like
Mm.
everybody has, even though they might have been Jewish, or I've worked with a Muslim, I've worked with someone from the Sikh, I think it's called the Sikh in India. So, for me, when I'm talking about that, I always like to say, well, I might bring up my experience, but I know it from my experience and from my religion standpoint. But I'm not trying to push anything on you. But just so you know, I might do that. But then I would like for you to kind of maybe say or help me to figure out how that lands in your religion.
Mm. So yeah, so being able to honor the differences without, yeah, without trying to merge them,
Yes.
right? But still honor and respect. And we had a conversation in with our colleague Yusuf Scali, and oh, it was so well received on LinkedIn, and all about the different perspectives that our upbringing and faith
Mm-hmm.
brings about, right? Especially because I find being Hispanic, right? And I grew up, in Latin America, when Latin America was like 99.99% Roman Catholic. So I'm dating myself a couple. It's no longer the case now. Is very multi-faith, and more Christian than Roman Catholic. And speaking now, I've lived in Canada longer than I've lived anywhere else, so I'm really more Canadian than anything else, and being a super cosmopolitan city, as well,
Mm-hmm.
is religion is not something that we are as open,
Mm-hmm.
right, about as you guys are in the US. In the US, everybody's more open about everything. We tend to be just a little more clamped up. But I find that it's a topic that cannot be completely excluded, because religion and faith are so intertwined with culture and heritage,
Mm-hmm.
right? That to say, leave your faith at the door, well, it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to do when it informs
Yep.
your choices. It
Mm-hmm.
informs your decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And even in corporate, I remember a long time ago, we had acquired a pretty big client, like a department store client that shall remain nameless. And they carry hunting gear, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the sales rep that was given that account, which was a really good account, couldn't do it. He just did not want to do it, because part of what we were representing as a marketing and promotion company
Mm-hmm.
was all their hunting gear and their hunting line. And he was just completely against his values.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was a big deal, because this was at a VP level,
Yeah.
right? And he was prepared to lose his job over it.
Yeah.
Luckily and gratefully, he didn't. We managed to, find a solution, right? That honored everyone. But is that important? Is that so? How can we try to mitigate that sense of emptiness and
Mhm.
disconnection. And they do say that success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just being more intentional. I mean, if you have your faith outside of work, be more intentional about bringing it into your work and how can you leverage that. I had somebody that I spoke to, and he said, I make God my CEO,
Yeah,
and all I do is steward this organization. And I really love that.
yeah,
And, for me, anytime somebody goes into their faith, regardless of what that faith is, they're automatically starting to feel more fulfilled because
yeah.
that is what fulfills them outside of work. Why wouldn't you bring it into work? And,
If
I
it's
just,
good, well, and then that's the question, right? Is it good for everyone,
is
or
it good
is it
for,
just good for you?
but I think it also goes back to, I think finding purpose and knowing and having fulfillment is important for everyone, regardless if you get
Yeah.
it from God or Jesus or Allah or whoever.
Hmm.
It's finding that purpose. It's finding that connection. Because if you're getting all this success and you still feel empty after your success, there's something that's missing. There's a relationship that's missing with whatever higher power or being that you are work with. For me, I follow Jesus, and me living my life out loud for Jesus changed my atheist husband into a Jesus follower.
Wow.
And I'd never pushed anything on him. He chose because he saw Jesus working in and through me. But that's
Wow.
who I follow. And so the thing is I want people to live their faith out
Authentically.
loud.
Yeah,
Yeah, live
authentically.
their faith
'Cause-
out loud authentically.
yeah, because I have to tell you, I struggle. I would, as I mentioned, I was born, into a faith, right? As we all do. And it's not that I struggle with the dogma, because that I don't have an issue with it. I choose to believe it and I like it, but I still struggle, right? Like I feel as if there's, like, philosophy is a big area that
Mhm,
informs my life.
mhm,
So I bring in a lot of Eastern philosophy and Stoicism, and faith is kind of like part of it, like, because do separate religion from faith, right? And I struggled with the how do you balance it all, or how do you
mhm,
honor it all, right?
mhm.
And do you have to choose, or can you have all these different perspectives that inform you? And that's what I bring to this conversation. I am the person that understands. I look at people that truly believe. It doesn't matter what their faith is, like the true believers. And part of me envies them.
Mhm,
It's like I wish I had that sense of miracle, or that sense of safety, right?
mhm, mhm.
And I don't. And not that I'm like sad or anything, right? It's just that I'm not. I don't understand why I am hesitant, where
It's
I am able to see the emptiness that it brings. Sorry, go ahead.
and you experience it too. But
Yeah,
here's the thing, you're new. I left Mayo Clinic. I was there for 17 years, and people asked me, "Why are you leaving?" I said, "Because God told me to, because he did." And they're like, "I didn't even know you were a Christian." I was like, "That's exactly why."
yeah. And that trusting God's timing is something that I am learning, right? Like, to really pay attention and to be more intentional. And there's one area that I know, when I compare, as I said, we're colleagues, we're friends, we're trusted advisors to each other.
Mhm,
Um, and when I look at the work that I do, and when I look at the work that you do, we're saying the same thing. Like, I was actually comparing, like, about the cost. Because when you decide to bring in faith
Mhm.
into your life, right, and
Mhm.
begin to guide every decision and guide every action and guide every intention
Yeah.
with something greater than yourself,
Mhm.
right? There's a cost that comes with it, be it relationships, sometimes careers, as we
Mhm.
mentioned, that, my former colleague. And you speak of it, you speak about the vision that costs something
Mhm.
in your book. We have Mindy's, which we're so proud to be the publisher.
Yes.
You speak in page 14, the vision that costs something. In the real kingdom vision might cost you your comfort. It might
Yeah.
cost you approval. And
Mhm.
you go on to break down all the different ways that you will know what needs to come out of your life. In
Mhm.
my book, funny, is like, I speak of the sacrifice that no one names in
Mhm.
order to be authentic, in the symbolic laws required for sovereignty.
Yeah.
And in it is funny enough, in Party of One, I specifically, from coping to choosing, I specifically do not mention faith in it until the end,
Mhm.
where I say the reason I did not mention faith, because
Yeah.
this book is meant to bring about questions that
Mhm.
you need to pursue and seek within your context. And
Yeah.
that includes faith,
Yeah.
right? Within
Mhm.
your faith. But we're both speaking about a cause to stand for something.
Mhm. Yeah. There's always going to be a cost to stand for something, always. But what I have learned and what I've found in my journey through this life that I've been on, it's worth it. The cost, the value over the cost
Mhm.
is 1,000 times better than the cost.
In the cost, at times, well, we both have exited C-suite, and like huge, yours bigger than mine. Mine was, SME, still in the 100 million revenue, but yours was a global, superpower. And we both opted out.
Mhm.
We both opted out. And it seemed foolish to a lot of people. And we're not saying to quit your job, right? That is
Because
your
it's not
own,
for everyone.
yeah, that is your own personal journey. And trust me, there are way easier ways to make money than to own your own business and have your own practice, right?
Yes,
But it
yes.
comes at a cost.
Mhm. Yep,
Back to what we're talking about, right?
absolutely.
In choosing, to bring about faith in spirituality
Mhm.
24/7, not
Mhm.
just in prayer, not just at church, not just, you know what I mean, when you're in
Yeah,
trouble,
yeah.
it's a choice.
It's a
It's a
choice.
choice.
But when you think about when you reach out to God when you're in trouble
Yeah.
and how everything always works out, think
Yeah.
about how much better your life would be if you went to Him when you weren't in trouble.
I call that toddler faith.
Yes.
When you got little ones in the park, and
Yeah.
they're ignoring you and they're quite happy being independent until something happens and they get
Yeah.
hurt or scared, and then they come running to you, right? And
Exactly.
that's toddler faith.
Yeah. But one of
And
the things that I would highly recommend, because I'm hearing a lot of the questions that you're asking, and it's all in the Bible. Reading the Bible, no matter what faith you have, it all of that Eastern stuff that you follow, it's all there. It's all there.
yes,
Just people took what was in the Bible and repackaged it for something else. It's all there.
yes, there is. If you study mythology, and you go back to origins, right, you see definitely similar teachings from Plato to,
Mhm.
to the Old Testament, to Jesus, to Buddhism, Taoism. There
Mhm.
is a common thread,
Mhm.
and it all has to do with goodness. It all has to do with being your authentic self and not trying to be performative,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
Now, I will say
yes,
Sometimes our authentic self should not be the person that shows up in your corporate office.
Yes, and I've quoted you on that, and I love you for that because, you know, I've been noticing and being more intentional about virtual signaling,
Mm.
and especially for women, right? Because a powerful woman today, which is my origin story, we're women of faith. We have always been. I don't
Mhm.
think I've ever represented a colleague that was an atheist, right? Not intent, like it just the way it works out, right? So we are definitely women of faith, whatever your faith be. And virtue signaling is become very prominent in for women, right? And I
So
gotta tell
tell
you
the
an
audience, what is virtue signaling so the
virtue
audience knows?
signaling is when you attach a moralistic undertone to your decisions.
Mhm.
So, you know, you may say, and I experienced it yesterday when someone, I was in a group of a community of practitioners that we were talking about publishing an anthology for them. And one of the people in the group said, well, I don't feel right. There's the moralistic undertone, right? I don't feel right publishing a book to promote my business because that feels like I'm manipulating people.
Mhm.
Right? What about publishing a book? Like like it won't be my authentic voice. And I'm like, why wouldn't it be your authentic voice?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to publish a book that helps people? Like that, you know what I mean? Like there's no manipulation in that. Like and just that moralistic undertone, I call virtue signaling,
Got
right?
it.
And so being authentic is something that you hear a lot of virtue signaling from women. Like you
Mhm.
gotta show up as your authentic self, right? Otherwise you're some like fraud. And I your words echo in my head every time where you said, what if you're an a-hole? Don't show up authentically and be an a-hole to people. Like
Yes.
and it just I love that pragmatism. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
because I don't know why it seems that in I would say women more than men tend to want to walk this moralistic, especially in business. And it's just like, no, it's about right, like dig deeper. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like instead of standing on a soapbox
Yeah.
or or trying to have that moralistic undertone, you can
Mhm.
still have faith, you can still be humble, you can still try to do good without it being a judgy
Yeah.
sentiment on self or others.
Yeah. Well, and I find, one of the things that I work with my clients with a lot is being curious,
Hmm. Mhm.
because you can't be curious and judgmental at the same time.
Hmm.
And when we're curious, it allows us to change our perspective and see things from a different view, because
Yeah.
sometimes we get so stuck in our own view that we forget that everybody sees things
Or
differently.
we think we know.
Yeah.
And we're basing it, maybe not in our own judgment, but in our own experiences
Mhm.
or our own fears. We're really opening your mind that little bit
Mhm.
is really a leap of faith,
Yeah.
right? Like trusting that other people see it differently than you do. And you and I are communication specialists.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I always keep reminding people whenever someone takes like a strong position in one perspective, I always say, remember, you're 25% of the population.
Yeah.
Right, that see it the way you see it. Like the other 75 are seeing the same thing, but they're interpreting and processing it
Yeah.
differently,
Way different.
right?
Way
Okay,
different.
I am so excited that we are having this conversation, and it is much needed. And it's funny because you and I are linked in practitioners, really. And although we do communicate in all different platforms, but our core is really LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot help but notice how much spirituality and faith and even God, I'm not going to say religion, but
Mm-hmm.
the mention of God
Yeah.
has taken such a prominent platform on LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
right? So these conversations are needed and
Mm-hmm.
wanted and needed and
People
wanted.
are searching and they don't know what to search for.
Yeah.
Get
So
go
our
to the tribe.
show, so our Leading with Faith series, part of More Than Success, will air every Monday at 1, guided by Mindy and I, with myself being the searcher, the prodigal daughter, and Mindy, of course, being having so much experience in faith-based leadership that we're so excited and we look forward to seeing you every Monday. Well, the show is pre-recorded, so
Yeah.
showing up for you every Monday
Yeah.
with a thought and an intention for the week.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mindy, what would be a good thought and intention just to start the week on the right footing?
You know, what I do with everyone, a good thought and intention. They've actually done MRI studies that you cannot be grateful and anxious at the same time.
Mm,
So I would just start with 5 things that you're grateful for every morning. Speak it out
mm,
loud. Try to find 5 new ones every day and really look for the miracles that are in your life because they're there. We just don't see them and we're
right.
missing out. But that would be what I would suggest is, focus in on gratitude.
That's putting it in action, right? Because it goes, what is it? Nobody learns how to swim reading a book, right? So you got to put it in practice. And
Mhm.
of course, I am going to do a little virtual signaling plug of our books. You can find How Do I Speak God's Word on Amazon. And
Mhm.
also, of course, Party of One from Coping to
Yay.
Choosing, both published by PWT Publishing. So thank you so much, Mindy. This has been so exciting, and I cannot wait to really reignite and re-engage hearts and souls and minds and spirits as we put forth the energy to lead ourselves and others. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you, Mindy, and
Thank you.
we will see everyone every Monday at 1 Eastern. Talk soon. Till next time.